Good afternoon, league mates. This is your co-commish, one Thrills Alexander, back with another episode of Questions for Condiments, Week 4. Last week, went 4-2 in my predictions, which are a side note to this show. And as you know, I asked a myriad of questions there, and if you'd like to go back and review them, you know what to do. Go back and rewatch last week's because I do not have time to regale it right now. So without further ado, let's get right to our first matchup and our first set of questions. And that's looking at the 1-2 Cheese Whiz squad up against the 1-2 Soy Sauce squad. Now, Cheese Whiz, my question for you is, can your team keep afloat while Christian Caffrey is on the DL or IL for that matter with his strained hammy? And it's a two-parter. How much do you intend upon bidding for Chubba Hubbard, Mr. OK State, Mr. All-American in college? The dogs are going crazy here in this question. Hey! Shh. There we go. And for Soy Sauce. That worked for about 10 seconds. Are you really going to start Sunshine at QB week in and week out? You have the all-caliber, all-world runner known as Danny Dimes also in your squad, but you realize that Sunshine is not getting stats for Clemson this year. He's actually playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars and their putrid offensive line, although they did just acquire Dan Arnold from the Panthers. Will it matter, though? I think not. I think B. Green could start just about anyone at quarterback this week to defeat the one and only Cheese Whiz, with Cheese Whiz looking quite hampered in the running back department. So Soy Sauce, you'll go to 2-2, while Cheese Whiz will go to 1-3. Next up, Mr. 3-0 Perfection, Golden Sriracha, highest scoring team in the league, almost 200 points per game, going up against a team that I deemed the deepest in the league last week, Ranch Bitch, at 2-1. Thought he had a cakewalk, and that's where we're going to start. Ranch Bitch, you made me look like a bitch last week by thinking you were going to win. You might have made yourself look like a bitch with that big old head you must have gotten from hearing the compliments that I bestowed upon your squad last week, because you really fell flat this week. I don't know if it was lack of preparation from your boys, thinking, well, if Thrill says I'm the best and I'm the deepest, then I have nothing to worry about right there. But it was quite an embarrassment losing to Mayo, even though he did, mayonnaise that is, put up quite a few points on your ass. So that's my question for you. Did you get a little too big for your britches, as they might say? And Golden Srirachas. Is it just about time for DeAndre Swift to supplant Joe Mixon as your RB2 in your lineup? We saw Joe Mixon get off to a blazing start, followed by two sub-double-digit point games, while we've seen DeAndre Swift score over 18 points 2 of the 3 weeks that he has been active thus far. So is it time to elevate him and put Joe down in the flex spot? Obviously, you still have Derrick Henry as running back AAA plus. That's a question that a lot of other GMs would really like to have asked themselves. Which of these awesome running backs should I be starting and which one should be flexing? I think you'll be flexing the guns this week as you go to 4-0 and Ranch Bitch falls back to 500 after a terrific start. Next up, we've got our third matchup of the week, Szechuan sauce versus honey mustard. And if we start with Szechuan, I really want to know, do you think that player number 2 for the Indianapolis Colts is going to be good enough to keep Michael Pittman Jr. fantasy relevant for your squad? You have him in the flex. You heard what a player in this league is starting in his flex, and yet you're going to have to start Michael Pittman, who has, by all accounts, gotten off to a tremendous start this season. But player number 2 for the Colts is quite injury prone, and even when he does play, he's quite inefficient or ineffective, if you will, as most Philadelphia Eagle fans can attest. Honey Mustard, for you, with the dearth of tight ends out there, what exactly is your plan at tight end right now? Is it to just week to week look for matchups and stream, or do you go all in on the twice scoring Dalton Schultz from the Dallas Cowboys? And if so, you're going to Dalton. you better put in a pretty hefty bid right there, because I can see him being a very sought-after tight end, seeing as how there are very few that can be counted on week in and week out, and Dalton might just have developed that connection with Dak that he's been looking for. You, on the other hand, will be continuing to look for another victory after picking up your first this week, because I see Szechuan defeating you and going to 3-1 while you fall to 1-3. All right, next up, we've got Aioli versus Tabasco. Aioli, are you really thinking that kicker's going to make a difference on your team right there? I saw you've dropped hashtag Hot Rod to the waiver wire. But if you look around, kickers don't seem to be making that big of a difference right there. So whatever that game plan is, I'm a little inquisitive my own self. What are you going to do about kickers? And Tabasco, are the comments made by one A. Harb on the message boards in relation to your standings within the league going to light a fire under your derriere and get you your first victory this week? I would think that would be quote unquote bulletin board material from what he delivered in the Slack chat to really get you fired up. And if you can't win after that, when are you going to win? So Tabasco, it's one of those prove it, man. I can't pick you until you prove me wrong. So I'm going with Aioli here to go to 4-0 and Tabasco to go to 0-4. All right, 2 matchups left here, 3.5 minutes left before our 10-minute time limit expires. We've got here for the Chipotle versus King Sam Ball. Here for the Chipotle. You're my boy right there through and through. Can you stop getting off to such shitty starts to your fantasy seasons in the year 2021? Started off just putridly in the baseball league and starting 0-3 and being one of the lowest scoring teams in our league so far for football. It's not a good omen right there. So you know that there's not 26 weeks or 21 weeks here in the foosball league to get your affairs in order. So you better start doing something quick. And we know Cody, never afraid to make a trade. King Sam Ball. Do my comments from a couple weeks ago asking about the up and down roller coaster of owning Mike Williams and Calvin Ridley come back to bite me here? I expected Mike to do the more down and upping, but it's really been Calvin behind a really big lack of production in Atlanta. But is Mike Williams about to make me zip my lips on his lack of breaking out, or his up and downness, his Daredevil Superman-esque roller coaster tendencies right there? Because he scored over 18 points in every game this year. 18, and a 33-pointer right there. Can't ask for much better from somebody who was not highly drafted, that didn't cost a whole lot. I think Mike Williams is going to help lead you to another victory this week, King Sam Ball. You'll go to 2-2. Code Nobes, unfortunately, will go to 0-3. All right, last matchup of the week. A couple 2-1 squads right there. Cool Whip going up against Mayonnaise right there. Now, we're going to talk about the same player in both these matchups here, and his name is Tom Brady. So, Cool Whip, can Tom Brady really feed Gronk, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown for your squad on a week-to-week basis? Consistently, that is. So, are we going to bank on 12 to 15 for Mike, 12 to 15 for AB, 8 to 12 for Gronk each week coming from Tom Brady? That doesn't even count Chris Godwin up in that mix, and we know he's going to get some targets. Leonard Fournette out of the backfield possibly, and we know Tom Brady's always good for a quarterback sneak around the 1-yard line. Mayonnaise, on the other hand, what are you going to do with Tom Brady and Josh Allen? You have two just stud quarterbacks on your roster right now. Unfortunately, this is not a 2-quarterback league, or a super flex for that matter. What are your intentions to do? Will you continue to just ride them out on your one starting, one being benched, looking at the matchups? What is your game plan there? I kind of look forward to seeing it, and if you're interested in trading one of those players, look no further than this guy. I would not mind putting Jalen Hurts as a bench player and owning one of those boys. So hit me up if you do feel inclined to trade Tom Brady or Josh Allen. As I feel inclined, if this will help make trade chances better, you to pick up a dub this week over Cool Whip. So overall, I got soy sauce, the srirachas, Szechuan, Sambal, mayonnaise, and aioli picking up victories in week number 4 here in the Condiments Football League. You boys take it easy. Let's go Falcons, first dub of the year. There we go. Matty Ice. I will see everybody next week on our Questions for Condiments segment. Take it easy.